been a little while since we caught up. Obviously, the end of the season, but there's lots going on, isn't there, behind the scenes, tidying up from the end of last season and preparing for the new one.
Yeah, I remember this time last year, actually, I was completely naive to how much there is to do almost in that first month, 6 weeks off the back of the season finishing. You kind of think, oh, brilliant. You get a little bit, your poor staff will get a little bit of time, but I know it's almost like a really intense period actually straight off the back of the season. I want to give a bit of an overview of what the sort of stuff that's been going on, because I know you're reviewing lots of processes, sort of doing a survey in the stadium to see where work might need doing and lots of things like that.
Yeah, so obviously every close season we have all of the safety kind of tests and inspections. So emergency lighting, structural survey, barrier testing, all of the things that we need to do to comply with the safety certificate each year. So they're all kind of either being done or will be done in the next week or two. We've also kind of reviewed everything. So, well, literally from bars, stewarding, office, pretty much everything kind of gets a good look at in the close season to see what worked well last year and where we can improve for the season ahead. So we're kind of in the process of going through everything now in detail, and hopefully kind of move things forward and improve things on there. We've obviously also moved the sprinkler system from the Blackfriars end to behind the Meadow end. So some fans who live locally will have seen there's kind of a smart looking container and a giant water tank now in the back car park of the Meadow end. And we also took the opportunity to put a borehole in as well, which will help moving forward with our water bill, which is, you know, the amount of water that Ben needs to put on the pitch during the warm weather. It will massively help with that. So quite a lot going on there in the last kind of couple of weeks, but that's all up and running now as well. Ben obviously did the pre-season renovations over a kind of 48-hour period as soon as all the schools finals ended. And the pitch is looking really good now. On Friday, the goal mouths were still bare and just soil. I came in Monday morning and there was grass all over. So I think Ben's really happy with it. And kind of the 48 hours non-stop that Ben and his team put into the pitch are kind of really paying dividends now. So it's looking really good out there. I think the weather's helped as well. Wet and warm is perfect for Ben. And then next week, with regards to the Blackfriars end, we've got a meeting with the council and the company that are coming in to do the demolition. So that's a meeting next week just to kind of go through everything before the bulldozers or whatever turn up on site. So that's progressing really, really well. And the Blackfriars end will be down during the course of the close season. So yeah, lots going on.
Yeah, big moment. That's be a big moment, that, won't it, with the Blackfriars, and that'll be a real change to the vista and stuff, won't it? But I think just in terms of things like reviewing stuff around the stadium and reviewing match day processes and that sort of stuff, I think there's we've got to make sure we keep up with legislation and guidance and safety, updated safety guidance and stuff, and particularly in relation to stewarding and security, we need to be on top of that all the time, don't we? And particularly when it's difficult, isn't it, when the gates can fluctuate up and down as well. So it's not a one size fits all scenario, is it, with that? And obviously we're trying to look at our options in terms of security and stuff as part of that, just to make sure that we're doing the right thing in terms of, from the economics of the club, but also for the safety and the welfare of everybody that comes to watch games.
Yeah, obviously last season we made a bit of a change with the away fans. So the majority of the time away fans are just seated upstairs in the Len Weston, because that saves us a big amount, surprisingly large amount on stewarding cost, not having to open that terrace there. It's literally 6 stewards a game just to open the terrace. And if you've only got 10 people stood in that terrace, and it's just not financially viable. So we kind of made that decision last year to relocate for the majority of games away fans upstairs, and that will continue next season. So yeah, it's not a one size fits all. Every game kind of gets risk assessed and stewarding numbers kind of off the back of that. There's set stewards for emergency exits and top of stairwells, but there's also stewards per kind of how many people we expect to attend as well. they've also all got to be fully trained, all working towards that qualification. And every year the council will look through it. The SAG, the Safety Advisory Group, will look through it and make sure that we're compliant. The same with all the testing that I mentioned earlier. It's all kind of in the same thing. So we know that we got to try and keep costs as low as possible, but we also know that we've got to provide a level of safety and service to the fans as well. So yeah, that's all part of what we're looking at the moment.
Yeah, and it's not about whether things haven't been done as well in the past or done correctly in the past. It's just about always looking to be the best we can be and making sure we're on top of everything, isn't it?
Yeah, and following the Manchester attacks, there's Martin's Law, which is kind of specific guidance for all venues, sporting venues, music venues, on security. So there are slightly new things coming in there, new legislation, constantly changing, and we just got to make sure that we're keeping up to that. And complying with everything.
Brilliant. Football wise, probably not a lot for me and thee to talk about really, because obviously as Paul provided a really good update last week, and he's been beavering away looking at 1,000,001 different options player wise. I think he messages us both obviously and lets us know where he is with queries and questions and that sort of stuff. But obviously, compared to last year, we're obviously in a far better place than we were last year with 10 players. I think it is signed on, because obviously Paul, I think, confirmed that an additional player that signed on that can't be announced yet. But to have 10 players signed on at the moment gives us a really solid base. It's quite pleasing, but it's also quite exciting to see what happens in terms of the additions.
Yeah, obviously this time last year, we had one player more or less, and you couldn't, it was exciting times, but it was a bit worrying, wasn't it? Whereas this season, to have kind of 10 players signed on at this stage, I think it just gives Paul that kind of confidence that, he's got that kind of core, the nucleus of a decent squad, and he can go out and try and just top up on where it is. I think he seems really happy at the moment, and yeah, the update he provided the other day was fantastic, really. So yeah, he's got a lot of work to do, but I think he's enjoying the challenge.
Yeah, and actually just a personal thing for me, really. Obviously, in that update, Paul sort of released information about one or two other players, or 3 or 4 other players that have left the club, and I think I did thank the players personally, all of them, at the end of the season for what they'd done for the club last year, in terms of almost they triggered, if you like, the comeback off the field in terms of the way they committed. So, I think it's important that I just sort of say on behalf of everybody, every supporter, because I'm a supporter at the end of the day, just to those players that are moving on, just a massive thank you. I think what you did for the club in last season will always be remembered, and we owe every single one of them a sense of gratitude. And I think every player who was featured at any point last year made a positive contribution. So, just on behalf of me, the board, and everybody else, really just thank you to those lads moving on. And I think it's pretty safe to say that every single one of them would be welcome back at Edgar Street in the future if they want to come to watch games or whatever. And whether they'll get a warm welcome if they come and play against us is never guaranteed, is it? Because you have to get into them a little bit. But absolutely 100%. Just wanted to say thank you.
Yeah, no, they all did a fantastic job. It was a really good group of players as well. So, it's always sad to see some of them go, because you build up that relationship over the course of the season, don't you? And I'm sure it's really hard for Paul to sit down and kind of let people go. Yeah, it can't be a nice part of being a manager. But yeah, every player last year really did their bit. So yeah, very grateful. And as you say, they kind of spearheaded the turnaround. I always say what goes on the pitch drives everything in a football club. So yeah, well done to everyone, and thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, and now obviously that what happened last season is playing a big part in the way the season ticket sales have started and are carrying on. And obviously we've launched the membership scheme, which we've seen a really, really good take up on that as well. And it's just really pleasing to feel the buzz that's still around and about, and see the excited words that are on social media. I mean, I think we announced we're back past 700 season tickets sold already, which is brilliant. The membership scheme's out well past 100 now, which is absolutely fantastic. And it just feels like there's a real, the feel good factor that seemed to have returned is continuing, which is brilliant.
Yeah, it is still going. Credit to Paul as well. Things like the update that he gave the other day, that really helps kind of just keep everyone up to date with what's going on and kind of in with the loop. I did a little bit of kind of number crunching the other day. I think it's hard to kind of compare where we were this time last year with terms of season tickets because we started selling at different times. But I think kind of we're roughly kind of a good couple of hundred ahead of where we were this time last year, and if kind of the sales continue at this pace, we should hopefully by the end of early bird get to kind of near 1,000 season tickets, which is incredible, really. And I know we've had the conversation, Paul's had the conversation. We're asking a lot of the fans at the minute because we're asking season tickets, membership, squad builder. You know, we do appreciate kind of everyone. It's a tough time for fans financially, and when we're asking for you to dip in your pockets, it's been incredible to see the amount of the squad builders raised, the amount of season tickets sold, and the amount of memberships as well. It's really good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's bonkers, really, isn't it? You know, the love that, you know what it is. You know, that sounds ridiculous, but the love that people clearly have for their football club is not a surprise, is it? Because we all feel it. But just the love that people have, and as you say, you know, there's a lot of things. A lot of outgoings at the moment, if you like. I think early bird, we've got another 10 days, end of the month, isn't it? The early bird discount comes for a season ticket. So obviously people are, you know, I'm sure there may be a payday coming for people and credit card complications and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, the way people are committing to it, I think we've already had between 90 and 100 people have contributed to the squad builder. I think it is to get us past 15,000 already, and that obviously will be doubled because of the great offer from the founding shareholders. But, you know, as you sort of said, it's one of those things, and it's difficult, isn't it? But, you know, if we could get 250 people giving a tenner a month or something like that, and or, you know, it just, the squad builder just has a massive impact, because it's, we as a club, we have to set a budget on what we think our income will be, and then you base the playing budget on that. But then squad builder sits outside that in terms of being extra money, and that just, it can have a huge impact. So like I say, there's the squad builder, the option of squad builder will run and continue running throughout the closed season, so you can join it at any point. A fan can join at any point when they feel they're ready or when they're able to. And like I said, it's, you know, we've had one-off donations already, haven't we? But we've also had people signing up for 12 months. So that, you know, the whole thing is just absolutely fantastic. And all these things, they just, they make a huge difference in terms of off-field planning, I think, as well, which is really important. But none of us ever underestimate, you know, the costs involved in supporting your local football club and getting behind your football club. So, you know, just once again, thank you to everybody. If you can continue to help out, absolutely brilliant. If you're thinking about helping out, please try and fall on the side of doing so. But listen, we completely get it. Not everybody's able to, and not everybody wants to. So, but yeah, just a massive thank you once again.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's great that there's 100 people that have signed up already, or close to. But I guess it's, you know, many hands make light work, and, you know, as you alluded to, if a lot of people sign up with just a £5 or £10 a month, it makes a really big difference to our playing budget. So yeah, you know, we do appreciate everyone putting their hand in their pocket at this time of the season. So yeah, if we look
and we're continuing to look at ways to kind of help fans in any way we can. Obviously, with the club membership, obviously they get 10% discounts in this bars and in the club shop and room hire, etc. And you know, and for the first time, it's been queried a couple of times, but for the first time, we've brought season tickets. Will obviously get that benefit this year. They haven't had it previously. Well, they've had the club shop benefit in the past, haven't they? But obviously we've introduced it, and they'll also get the same benefits in terms of match day discounts and that sort of stuff in the bars as club members, and rightly so, because of the commitment they make through their season ticket.
Yeah. No, the discount in the bars, obviously it's a brand new thing. We haven't done it before. So I just remind every member and every season ticket holder, when you come to the bars, to show your membership or your season ticket, to make sure you get that 10% discount. You know, it is our way of kind of thanking you for your support, and hopefully the membership allows people who can't afford a season ticket for whatever reason, or that they don't come to enough games to kind of warrant a season ticket. It gives them that chance to make sure that they get that 10% in the bars, and they get the 10% in the club shop as well. So yeah, we are trying. to kind of give back as much as we can to the fans, because we know how important, obviously, the getting the fans in through the door is. So yeah, we hopefully try and look after them where possible.
But yeah, 100%. It's quite mad to think, isn't it? We're probably only we're a month until the players return for pre-season training, and it'll soon come round, won't it? In fairness, we're sort of halfway. We're almost exactly halfway between the last game of the season and the players returning for pre-season, and obviously Paul's announced we've got 6 pre-season. I think it's 6 pre-season games already penciled in. I think we've announced the Hales Owen one so far, but we have got 3 home games arranged, which is fantastic, which I think you can probably share the dates for those potentially. We aren't able to announce the games yet, but we have got 3 home games, haven't we?
Yeah, obviously we need to kind of liaise with the opposition as to when we announce who we're playing, but at the minute the plan is for the home games to be on the 13th of July, the 20th of July, and then the 3rd of August as well. So people can kind of pencil those in your diary and make sure you got the weekend off, or you're not going away anywhere, so you don't miss out. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to confirm the exact opposition in the next coming couple of weeks. But yeah, it's soon going to be here. Pre-season training, I think they come back kind of the end of June. So we've obviously put all of the orders in for the training kit and everything like that have been in for a good couple of weeks now. So yeah, lots going on, and it'd be interesting to see who Paul's got on the books come that first day of pre-season training, won't it?
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, that's when the momentum starts, isn't it? In fairness, and actually, you can go into pre-season training with maybe 3/4 of your squad, but with still options open. And I'm sure you've got trialists who you want to come and have a look at. And I know sort of he'd invited Jordan Lydon and Paul Downing back in for training as well, as part, if they want to come and join in training at the start of pre-season. So yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting time. I think it's probably worth saying that we will be. We did a squad builder friendly last year, didn't we? We had that extra home game, and this year going with the 3 home games. The more people that we can get to those 3 home games, if we create a surplus above our budgeted figure that we need to make from the pre-season friendlies, then that surplus will again go to the playing budget. But we'll talk about that more further down the line. But again, from a fan impact point of view, the more people we can get through the gates for those 3 home pre-season friendlies, the more surplus of the money that comes in will be able to go towards Paul to again help him strengthen his squad. And it's all about the football at the end of the day. We've got to run a business, a proper business, and we've got to look after the pennies. And what the great thing about how our last season went is we are going to be able to put money aside into our reserves, which was absolutely crucial. It's dull and boring, I'm sure, for the vast majority of people, but you've got to have contingency funds set aside, which we hadn't got last summer, and that's been absolutely fantastic that we've been able to do that now. It's one of those things you can't get all giddy and go, look, we've made money, let's throw it all at the football. Unfortunately, that's not how it can work, because you've got to protect the long-term future of the club. But what the football did last year with the success on the field in terms of the levels of interest has almost helped us build a contingency fund again, and now it's one of the most important things that we kind of had to do over the course of last year.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that we look at, isn't it, in terms of kind of the money in the bank at a certain point. And I think you commented previously about where we were kind of this time last year in terms of money in the bank. So it's been really important to try and kind of build that up and get that contingency. Because this place, if you just look around the stadium, I mean, there's loads of work that needs doing just to open the doors. So there are costly things other than the football budget, although obviously we got that balance because we want that football budget to be as strong as possible, don't we?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the long and short of it is, it's been said, hasn't it, openly already, that we were down to less than £5,000 or around £5,000 in the bank, sort of almost this time last year, or certainly before we started selling season tickets. Well, I look around my own house, and there aren't many significant jobs I could get done around here for less than £5,000. So at a stadium like Edgar Street and the age of the stadium, you're not going to be able to do anything with that sort of money, which is why you need money put aside. It's not that you suddenly go out and spend it, but you just never know what's going to happen. You never know what infrastructure issues we're going to encounter, and we've got to always find a way, because to go out with a begging bowl to get these things done is just no way for a football club to live. It almost takes I nearly swore then, but it almost takes the mickey out of the fan base if you just go into them, you know, we got to do this, we've got to do this, we've got to fix this, can anybody help? It's not quite right. It's not the way we should be looking to do things. So I think to be able to have start to build up that contingency has been, you know, it's been a huge achievement. I think the way Paul turned things around on the pitch was a massive achievement, but actually what that's led to in terms of us being able to stabilise off the field has been, you know, as important really over the course of last year. And you know, I think I jokingly said we're in a position now where we can probably think about making decisions as opposed to having to do things. You know, that, you know, it's a very different scenario. We can actually make a decision about something as to go, well, we've got no choice, it's got to be done this way. So yeah, we're a much better place, you know, really positive. And again, it feels like an Oscar speech, doesn't it? But it's just a massive thank you to every single person that has played any part in kind of the comeback that we've made over the past 12 months, really. So yeah, once again, thank you to everybody, and I include you, Jay, and the staff and all that, because you all go above and beyond every single day, and you know, you work more hours than you're probably supposed to. Well, you definitely work more hours than you're supposed to, so a lot of you. So it's a massive thank you to all the staff there and Landov volunteers as always.
Yeah, I've said before, obviously the football drives everything in a football club, drives the whole business off it, but we've got to be in a position off the field that when things are going as well as they did last year and the fans are turning out in numbers, that we're kind of there to make sure that we're making the most of it. And credit to like Adam with the bars and Martin with commercial, kind of done really well last season because the fans turned out in numbers and the local businesses wanted to back us, but we still have to be prepared to be in a position where we could kind of make the most of that. And so credit to the staff, because they've done a really good job.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, and I think what we all have to remember is that football's such a ridiculous game. You never know what's round the corner in terms of, you know, what happens on the field, you know, injuries, all that sort of stuff. So actually when things are going well, you've almost got to think about insulating yourself for the possibility of things then not looking so bright further down the line. And again, that's part of, you know, they say making hay while the sun shines, isn't it? And if you like, at a low level, last year was that type of thing. So we've got to try and look after ourselves, look after moving forward. What we can't bank on is, we had 10 home draws in the cup competitions, didn't we, or something ludicrous like that, and that had an impact on the money that was made, because we suddenly had all those home games. Pleasingly, we won a lot of them, so we got prize money in, but you can't guarantee you're going to win home games. But actually, you know, you could get an away draw in the first round of both cup competitions and go out, and you don't have any. That takes a massive amount of income that we had this year out of potentially next year. Hopefully that won't happen, obviously, but we just can't take it for granted that we're going to have the same sort of numbers through the gates and the same sort of success on the field and the same number. Well, we're never going to have the same number of home draws, because it was mad. We're probably due 3 seasons away from home now, aren't we? But these are all things that we just can't take for granted. And as dull as it sounds, these are things I hadn't really considered before I took on this role. It's only when you sit there and you're looking at the figures and you're looking at the numbers and you're looking and planning, it's like, dearie me, this is actually quite fragile in many ways, because you've just got no guarantees.
Yeah, and that's why we're still obviously cautious with everything. I'm probably cautiously optimistic. You know, when we're from setting the budget to, you talk about all the jobs that we got around the stadium. So, you know, we draw up a list of what we want, what we need, and then we have to kind of go through that and see, well, what are the priorities out of that? So it's still kind of operating very cautiously, but hopefully that's did well last season. It worked well last season, and that's kind of how we've got to keep kind of going forward.
Yeah, and it's you know, we're sort of dishing out some reality here, aren't we? Which is not meant to be negative in any way, because it's brilliant that we can have this conversation. But I think, you know, the positive is, as I said, we're looking ahead much more positively, looking with much more optimism about where we are. You know, we've been able to offer Paul more support with the playing budget already this year than we were able to last year. Looking at off the field, there's new ideas coming through. You've got a lot of stock coming into the club shop, I know, over the next few weeks that'll make a difference. New ideas and new stock, and we're now in a position where we can look at a few different things without being reckless and rash about things. It is just brilliant that we can look ahead optimistically as a football club, both on and off the pitch, and and the fans have played a massive part in that, and hopefully, we only do it really for our fellow supporters. I think is probably the long and short of it. So we'll just keep on ploughing on and see what we can do. And all the people behind the scenes are committed to trying to move this club towards being the best it can be.
The club shop's a classic example, because I think this time last year we were very kind of cautious in kind of the stock we held there. In seasons gone by, there was probably a little bit too much stock, so we kind of cut everything right back to kind of the basics, and then throughout the season we kind of started building and adding a few more things. And I think the fans, obviously the way the season was going, obviously the fans just couldn't get enough of things, and at times there was not much in the shop. So I think what last season has done is allowed us to kind of be a little bit bolder in terms of the range of stock that we're going to have in the shop. So there's already some new things such as baby bibs, and they're flying out. We got baby grows on order, and I suspect they'll kind of fly out as well when they arrive. It's not been something we've been able to get in recent years because the minimum order's been kind of out of our reach. But what last year has allowed us to do is kind of invest in those, and the numbers, well, they're just flying out. So yeah, the next couple of weeks, probably 3 to 4 weeks, there should be lots from kids' t-shirts, new hoodies, t-shirts, shorts, everything really, but done kind of quite cautiously. We've been lucky to kind of find a few more suppliers who can help out in terms of the quantities we like. It made me laugh. I spoke to one company and they asked what we were looking for, and I said, well, we need low minimum order quantities. And they're like, yeah, we do low minimum order quantities. We start at minimum of 1,000. And I'm like, well, that's about 950 more than we need. But we've managed to find the companies that can kind of do the 50s and 100s for us at good prices. So we're not having to charge too much as well in the shop. So yeah, it's going really well.
Good. And I think we obviously the selection process for the new away shirt has taken place, and the decision has been reached, if you like, or the fans have reached the decision. But before we gonna go ahead and announce that, we're just waiting for confirmation, or sort of hopefully more accurate confirmation on when it might be landing with us and when we might then be able to put it on, because we don't want to go too early with the announcement and then there'll be a massively long wait for them to arrive. So I think you're just waiting on some more information for that before we go down the route of confirming where we are.
Yeah, so we kind of had the cards, the initial cards, and then we have to go back. But that kind of got voted through by the fans. Then we had to go back and just add kind of the sponsors as they renewed. So onto the drawings. Last week I signed off the factory drawings for the home shirt, the away shirt, and also goalkeeper shirts, which we'll be stocking in the shop as well. We had lots of people ask about goalie tops last year, so they'll be in the shop for the new season as well. So that's all with the factory, with Kappa. As soon as we get kind of an expected delivery date, we'll kind of share that with the fans. But I don't want to tempt fate, but I'd very much like to think they'll be available at some point during pre-season. Yeah, so fingers crossed on that.
Yeah, it's very much a fingers crossed thing, isn't it? Because I know it's that whole world of merchandise and shirt. Lots of clubs, it's been difficult for lots of clubs and lots of suppliers, hasn't it? It's not been unique to us in any way, shape, or form. But hopefully that's a world that's stabilised now, and things will start to flow a bit better than they were at times last season.
Yeah, certainly looking a bit better. Obviously, we had the issues over Christmas with the supply of kit. But since Christmas, it's looking a lot healthier, and things are kind of landing in 6 to 8 weeks. So yeah, fingers crossed. We'll be good for pre-season.
Excellent. We've banged on for ages. That's got to be a world record or a personal best for us, I reckon. Sorry everybody if you've had to listen to, if you're sitting through that for 37 minutes or whatever we are. There you go.
I think that's everything though for now.
We have covered literally everything, I think. Is there anything else?
Yeah. All I was going to say actually about the sponsors tournament. Obviously, end of every season, we have a tournament for some of our main sponsors, and we play it for the Roger Parker Trophy, the former owner of Dawley's, who sadly passed away a few years ago. So we play it in his memory. So that was a really good evening. Obviously, we both performed. I don't know.
Performed in inverted commas, Jamie. I mean, it took place 11 days ago, and I'm just beginning to loosen up now. Actually, it's taken me best part of it. I'll tell you, it was a Friday night, and the Saturday wasn't much fun. The Sunday was horrendous, and the Monday was an absolute nightmare. I didn't mind the three 15-minute games in a row, but it was when we stopped and had a break between matches that absolutely destroyed me. That did, to be honest with you. And how hard are footballs? I headed a few corners away, and I felt like a blooming, I was in tatters actually.
No, it's definitely changed. Yeah. Paul said he had a few scouts watching, so I was just waiting for the contract offer, but it must have got lost in the post, I think.
Yeah, I'm still raging at Dawley's wheeling out Lasana Mendes as a member of their team. That was a bit harsh, wasn't it, in fairness?
And we wheeled out John Sadler.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it didn't work too well for us, but it was a really good evening actually. Everybody had a great time, didn't they? I think, in fairness, we managed to win one of our 6 matches, I think, by hook or by crook. We had a very Italian style, didn't we? Sit in and hit on the break with our one young pair of legs up front, but that was about it.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's great to have the sponsors here. I think, a lot of the people that played are big fans, so it's great for them to have that chance to have a run around on the pitch. And hopefully next season we might be able to add a few more kind of sponsors in there as well, and kind of make it a really big thing. So yeah, thank you to all the sponsors that turned up, to Dawley's especially, because they do things like pay for the food for players after the game as well. So they're fantastic supporters, and it was a really good evening.
Yeah, great. I mean, thanks to all the main sponsors who were at that. Thanks to all the sponsors generally, but thanks to all the main ones that were there, in particular, as you say, particularly Dawley's. We let them beat us, didn't we? Just so they, you got to keep your main shirt sponsor sweet. So we obviously rolled over and let them. It's a bit of a match fixing scandal, I think, now probably, but yeah, no, it was a great night. Yeah, and once again, thank you to everybody.
Brilliant. Well, I think we really have covered everything there. So until next time.
Perfect. Top man, Jamie.
See you. Bye-bye.
Cheers, bye.